She never thought this day would turn into her worst nightmare. All Emma wanted was to quietly support her sister on her wedding day, to sit in the back, smile during the ceremony, and celebrate with the family. But from the moment she walked into the venue, dressed simply and without the flash or flair others expected, she became the target of whispers and judgment. Her sister, radiant in a designer gown, barely acknowledged her. The bridesmaids smirked. Even the guests, many of whom Emma hadn't seen in years, gave her looks that said everything without a word. She doesn't belong here. What no one knew was that Emma had built a beautiful life far from the spotlight. She didn't flaunt wealth or status. She wasn't one to brag. And she certainly didn't come to the wedding looking to outshine anyone. But in a room full of people obsessed with image, her humility was mistaken for failure. Behind their laughter and side glances was the same judgment she'd faced growing up. The quiet girl, the plain one, the outsider. Even as her heart ached, she stayed silent. After all, this was her sister's big day. She didn't want to cause a scene. But everything changed the moment her husband walked in. He was late. No one had met him before. Some even joked she'd made him up. But when the doors opened and he stepped in, tall and confident in a sharp-tailored suit, the room fell silent. Then came the real shock. The gift he brought, a gift so stunning, so unexpected, it left everyone speechless and shifted the entire mood of the wedding. Emma, the simple woman they had mocked, had just turned the whole day upside down, without saying a word. And what happened next? Well, that's where things get really interesting. Emma's story wasn't what anyone expected. Growing up in a small town, she had always been the quiet one, hard-working but unnoticed. Her family's expectations were simple. Blend in, don't make waves, and keep your head down. Her sister, on the other hand, was the golden child, charismatic, confident, and the center of attention. Their worlds could have been more different, and over that difference, Emma worked odd jobs to support her, never escape people who doubted her. Then, out of nowhere, she met like anyone she'd known, mysterious, kind, and incredibly successful. But what Emma for who she was, not what she looked like or where she came from. Emma, James surprise you that you didn't have to fit a certain mold worthy. Despite their love, kept their relationship private. She wasn't ready for the judgment from her family or the town. So when James showed up unannounced, dressed impeccably, a gift that sparkled with every thought, whispers turned to and was this gift? Why had Emma's husband appeared now at this very moment? No one knew the full story behind James or how he had changed Emma's life. Some thought it was luck. Others guessed there must be more to her than met the eye. But one thing was clear. The simple woman who had been humiliated earlier was now at the center of something much bigger. Something that could shift old family dynamics forever. And as eyes stayed fixed on James and the mysterious gift, the tension in the room only grew. What was really going on between Emma and her family? And how would this night end? The answer was still out there, waiting to be revealed. The room was buzzing quietly with questions and curiosity, but Emma's sister, Claire, looked furious. She had spent months planning every detail of the wedding, making sure everything was perfect. And suddenly, here was Emma, with her unexpected billionaire husband, stealing the spotlight in a way Claire never imagined. The humiliation she had thrown at Emma earlier now seemed to backfire, but Claire wasn't ready to back down. "Who even invited him?" Claire whispered sharply to their mother, her voice trembling with a mix of anger and disbelief. Their mother avoided eye contact, uncomfortable with the sudden shift in power. For years, Claire had been the family's pride, and Emma's quiet presence was barely tolerated. Now, Emma's connection to James threatened that balance, making Claire feel smaller than ever. James, calm and collected, ignored the stares and whispers as he stepped forward with the gift, a breathtaking diamond necklace, wrapped in a velvet box. But the gift wasn't just about its value. It carried a message. Emma wasn't someone to overlook anymore. It was a statement that her life had changed, and so had her status. Yet beneath the surface, Emma wrestled with a storm of emotions. She didn't come to the wedding to start a rivalry or prove anything to her family. She just wanted to be accepted, to belong. Seeing the hurt in Claire's eyes, the tension between the sisters grew heavier, and Emma wondered if this night would bring them closer, or push them apart forever. Meanwhile, some guests whispered about James's mysterious past. Rumors circulated. Was he really the self-made billionaire everyone believed? Or was there a secret he was hiding? The more people talked, the thicker the tension became. The wedding had turned into a stage not just for love, but for old wounds, jealousy, and secrets. And as Emma held the necklace, unsure whether it was a blessing or a curse, the night promised more surprises and challenges, still waiting to unfold. The atmosphere in the grand hall shifted palpably. Eyes darted between Emma, James, and Claire, as if waiting for the next move in a game none of them fully understood. Claire's jaw tightened, her pride bruised more than anyone had realized. She wasn't just angry, she felt betrayed. How could Emma, the sister she thought she knew, suddenly have this power, this influence without warning? Emma tried to stay calm, but inside, her heart was pounding. She had spent so long hiding in the shadows, avoiding confrontation, hoping to keep the peace. Now, with the world watching, she felt exposed in a way she never wanted. James squeezed, her hand gently, grounding her, reminding her that she wasn't alone, but even his presence couldn't stop the storm brewing around them. Whispers grew louder. Some guests openly questioned James's sudden appearance, wondering if this was some sort of spectacle. Others admired the undeniable elegance and strength he brought into Emma's life, a life that no one had thought to look at twice before. The tension between the sisters was thick enough to cut with a knife, and the rest of the family exchanged worried glances, unsure where this night would end. Suddenly, Claire stepped forward, voice trembling but firm. "Emma, this isn't just about you. This is my day, and you've turned it into something I never imagined." The room fell silent, all eyes on the two sisters standing face to face, years of resentment and misunderstanding boiling over. Emma took a deep breath, ready to respond, but before she could speak, James cleared his throat, his gaze steady and unshakable. "There's more to this than just a wedding or a gift," he said quietly, but with an edge that made everyone listen. The air crackled with anticipation. What was James about to reveal? And how would it change everything between these two sisters and their entire family? The night was far from over, and the most shocking moment was yet to come. James's eyes scanned the room, locking briefly with Claire's before he spoke again. "There's something I need to share. Something that changes everything you think. You know about Emma." A hush fell over the guests, their curiosity piqued and nerves on edge. Emma's breath hitched, unsure if James was about to protect her or expose a secret she wasn't ready to face. Claire's expression shifted from anger to disbelief. "What are you talking about?" she demanded, stepping closer, as if trying to break through the sudden distance between them. James took a slow breath. "Emma isn't just a simple woman from this town. Before we met, she was quietly building a business that's now worth millions. She's been supporting herself and many others without anyone's knowledge. I've seen firsthand how much strength and intelligence she has, but she never wanted to brag or show off. That's why she stayed quiet all these years." Gasps rippled through the room. The idea of Emma, the girl everyone had overlooked as a successful entrepreneur, stunned the family and guests alike. Whispers spread fast, blending admiration with surprise. Emma's mother looked both proud and regretful, while Claire's face flushed with a mix of envy and shock. But before Emma could respond, James dropped the next bombshell. "There's more. The gift I brought isn't just a necklace, it's a symbol. Emma's company is about to launch a project that will change this community, creating jobs and opportunities. I'm here to announce our partnership, not just as husband and wife, but as business allies." The room seemed to close in on Claire, who now faced the reality that Emma's life was far more complex and powerful than she ever imagined. The wedding had become more than a family gathering. It was a battlefield of pride, secrets, and unexpected alliances. And as the tension reached its peak, no one could predict what would happen next. Would Claire accept this new reality? Or would the rivalry tear the family apart? The answers were still hidden, waiting to explode. Claire stood frozen, her world shifting beneath her feet. She had spent years believing Emma was the quiet, unremarkable sister until now. Hearing about Emma's success, her hidden strength, and the life she'd quietly built, Claire's anger slowly melted into something else, a deep, aching regret. For the first time, she saw Emma not as a rival, but as someone she had misunderstood all along. Emma took a step forward, her voice steady but soft. "I never wanted to compete with you, Claire. I just wanted to be seen for who I am." The Key's room seemed to hold its breath. This wasn't just about a wedding anymore. It was about family, forgiveness, and new beginnings. James nodded, adding, "We're here not to overshadow, but to build something together. Emma's project will benefit everyone, and it's time we put old grudges aside." The guests began to murmur in agreement, some even clapping quietly. The tension was easing, replaced by a sense of hope. But just as the room started to feel lighter, James's phone buzzed sharply in his pocket. His face changed, serious, unreadable. He glanced at Emma, then back at the room. "There's one more thing," he said, voice low but clear. "The company Emma built, it wasn't just a business. It's tied to a bigger secret, one that could change everything about who we are." Gasps filled the hall again. Emma's heart raced. What secret could James mean? Claire's eyes narrowed, suspicion and curiosity mixing in her gaze. James looked directly at Emma and whispered, "Are you ready for everyone to know the truth?" Emma swallowed hard, the room waiting, the night far from over. The simple woman they all thought they knew was about to reveal a truth that would shock them all and change their lives forever. Emma took a deep breath, feeling the weight of every eye in the room on her. She knew this moment would change everything, not just for her, but for her family and everyone present. "The truth is," she began quietly, "the company I built was founded on a promise to help people like us, those who feel invisible or underestimated. But it's also connected to something personal. It was started with money left to me by our father, money no one ever told you about." The room fell silent again. Their father had always been a quiet man, distant in many ways, and the family had believed his estate was simple. Claire's face softened as realization dawned. "You knew?" she whispered. Emma nodded. "I only found out after he passed. He left instructions and funds to help me start something meaningful. That's why I never flaunted success. I wanted to honor him quietly." James stepped forward, holding Emma's hand. "That's why we're here, to carry on that legacy, together, to build a future where we all succeed." Claire looked down, then slowly reached out, pulling Emma into a tentative embrace. The years of rivalry and misunderstanding began to dissolve in that moment. Their mother wiped tears from her eyes, and the guests around them smiled warmly. The wedding, which started with humiliation and tension, ended with healing and hope. Emma's simple appearance no longer mattered. Her strength, courage, and heart shone brighter than any jewel. As the night settled, Emma realized something important. Sometimes, it takes facing your hardest battles to uncover your greatest blessings. And family, with all its flaws and surprises, is where true strength lies. This story reminds us that success isn't just about wealth or status, but about staying true to yourself and those you love. Emma's journey from being humiliated to becoming a symbol of resilience shows that even the simplest people can have the most extraordinary stories. And with that, a new chapter for Emma and her family had just begun.